Hello, everyone. I am Sarah. Welcome to AutismBC Talks. I'm Vancouver Island Regional Coordinator, and today we have Alexi with us. She is with Support Worker Central website, and she's going to tell us about this great site and who can benefit from it. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Yes, my name is Alexi McGreer, and as you had mentioned, I am the project coordinator for Support Worker Central. So I am the person who's answering all the questions, but about Support Worker Central, but then actively making sure that Support Worker Central is becoming more known to families across the province and people with disabilities who hire their own staff, but as well as really promoting the tool Support Worker Central to people who are looking for work as support staff. And so marketing Support Worker Central across the province to people that these jobs, about a lot of the jobs and what makes them unique when you're someone with a disability who hires their own support staff.
Perfect, thank you. So I guess we'll start at the basics. What is a Support Worker Central website and how did it come about?
The Support Worker Central website is a job board that offers jobs working directly with someone with a disability or their families or system of support that hire their own staff. So families and individuals with disabilities can go on, post a job, but then also people who are looking for work as a support staff can go on to Support Worker Central, see those jobs and apply for those jobs. We don't match jobs with job seekers. It is a user-based job board, so that we emphasize that. So if you are looking for work as a support staff, then it is important that people review the job postings and apply for the jobs. Or if you're someone who is looking to hire staff, once you post a job, then keeping an eye out that people might be messaging you, or you can explore the profiles of support staff that have been created on the job board and then reach out to people who have created a profile to see if they might be interested in the job you've posted. That's
great. And when did Vela get involved and what did that add to the user experience?
Vela came about, got involved a couple of years ago. It was during COVID when there was definitely a very big struggle for hiring staff for multiple reasons. And the part of the reason Vela became involved is because Vela is an expert in developing microboards and helping individuals access individualized funding. And part of the reason so they came involved is because they help a lot of families become employers or hire staff or hire employees or contractors. So they are the experts in that knowledge. And so with Vela becoming involved, they really helped create more resources that are available on Support Worker Central to help families and people with disabilities manage their employees. But then also, what are the rules? Because unfortunately, you can't just hire somebody. There are a lot of rules in place in which families do need to hire, and so Vela, they're the experts in that and making sure that families and people with disabilities are following the rules and what are the rules. And so that's how they helped with Support Worker Central.
That's great. And is there a cost to sign up to the website?
No, it's completely free.
Perfect. Now, is it DCwide, and does the algorithm match on location?
Yes. So the website is accessible throughout the province. So jobs are available for anyone throughout BC, and then it's available to families and individuals throughout BC who are looking for staff. But how it works is that it is filtered by location. And right now it's filtered by city in very specific areas. We wanted it to be, because there's so many small communities throughout the province. And so So you can search in basically small towns throughout the province.
I did sign up just to check it out, and I found workers within my neighborhood. So
That's great.
It was great, actually. And does someone require a formal diagnosis?
As long as you're following the employment rules, then I don't think you need a diagnosis, but because I know people, as long as you're somebody who hires your own staff. So I have seen people on here who have physical disabilities. So they don't even have developmental disabilities that are using the site. And so you don't just, so whether you're receiving funding from CLBC or you're receiving funding from somebody else, it's open to anyone. Yeah, we wouldn't filter it out. I think the only thing we do try to limit, or we don't allow, is agencies. At this point in time, we are not allowing agencies to use the site because agencies are a lot bigger. They have a lot more resources, where families and people, they're really struggling to find work because it's hard for them to market their job and to find staff. So we do limit it to people who hire their own staff and not agencies or companies that hire. Yeah,
that's great. And I'm sure a lot of our members would wonder if they could use autism funding. I'm sure they'd be hiring like a BI, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely. We have lots of BI positions on there, people or profiles, I should say. Autism funding is definitely allowed, like you can use that to hire staff. From our knowledge, that's part of what autism funding is for, is to hire those support staff. So you can definitely use Support Worker Central to find that staff.
That's great. And do you have resources available for someone who's a little nervous to hire for the first time on your website?
Yes, absolutely. So in the menu, there's let's double check here. There's like a help center, and then it will filter out down to a drop down menu that goes to individuals and families. And in that help center, there's tips on how to hire for the first time. There's like the documents you need to have in place, like payroll, a business number, what you need to know for WorkSafe BC. And then there are some fact sheets, and so things to learn again about WorkSafe BC, criminal record check, employment standards, because if you are hiring an employee, you do need to follow the BC employment standard laws. That is something to follow. If you are hiring a contractor, then that becomes different, and that is something that you need to look into.
And they could reach out to you also if they had more questions?
Yes, they can reach out to me through the Support Worker Central site. There's a kind of a help contact us, and that I'm the one that manages that, so I answer all the questions.
That's great. So do you do any screening, or is it up to the family to do the screening, I assume?
It's up to the family to do the screening. Okay. And we do emphasize to make sure you do your due diligence, conduct the interview, check references, criminal record check if you need first aid, if they need a driver's license, if they need to be vaccinated. So that is up to the families and the individuals to do those steps.
That's great. And do you help if they're wondering what wage to pay?
It's funny, we're just putting together a bit of a document right now to help with that, because we get that question a lot. It's a little tricky because, as you can imagine, different positions will have a different pay range. So if it's an hourly rate, it's going to be different than someone who's being hired for overnight respite. We do have, if you are receiving Community Living BC funding, then there is a minimum in which families are expected to pay, and the funding you're receiving kind of will give a direction on the range. If you're receiving other funding supports, then we encourage you to look into those documents, because it might kind of provide a bit of direction in what you're supposed to pay. And then there's just talking to people in the community. So what are you paying? And so meeting with other families, asking what they're paying, but then also looking, if you have the flexibility in what to offer and pay, then that's when also looking around at other positions, even outside of the support staff, because if you want to be competitive, sometimes you might need to pay a bit more, and depending where you live, it might be more expensive to live. So just kind of exploring those resources and options.
That's great. And finally, do you have any tips for someone who is hiring for the first time?
I think definitely review all the as much of the information on the support worker site that you can. And then looking into employment standards, I think that one is huge, and learning the difference between hiring an employee versus a contractor, and just knowing all the legal documentations that you need to have in place. And then once you become familiar with becoming an employer, then going back to back to the support worker central site, and it does say like the first steps to hiring. So all the things that you need to take, creating a business number, setting up a bank account, knowing your payroll. And so just going through those steps and starting there.
That's great. Well, thank you for sharing this. I think it's an amazing resource, and I think it's going to be really valuable to our members. So thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us today. We really appreciate it.
Excellent. Anytime. I'm happy to help if you have any more questions.
Perfect. And am I okay to give out your contact information if people need it, your email or?
If you could give them support at supportworkercentral.ca would be great.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right.